Nice. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show New Look Edition. We're going to be doing this one a little bit differently today, and what I hope moving forward. Let me pull this up quickly. I want to make sure we're streaming right. Perfect. I hear myself, and that's all I needed. Okay, here's the deal. Let's start here. I'm Josh Engleman. Follow me at Josh Engleman on Twitter, on anything, but Twitter and Tails, that's where you want to find me. We're an hour early today. The show typically starts at 9. I don't know how big of our crew we're going to get this morning. They'll learn. They'll learn. We needed to start doing this a little bit differently. And this is where we're at. For those of you that have been watching at Stokastic.com for years, this will feel a little familiar to you as it gets started. For those of you that are new, here's what we're going to do. So, back in the day, years ago, prior to the NBA Strategy Show, I would do a little show at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time called The Process. And it wasn't about like the slate so much and the plays, the takes early morning. We're going to set ourselves up for the rest of the day. This is going to be the baseline for what ends up on Stokastic in our projections. We're just going to take a step back one notch, and we're going to do it all on the screen for the show. So this isn't going to be as much about like, oh, so-and-so is... No, this is, all right, who's starting? Who's playing this many minutes? What do we have? Who's in? Who's out? We're going to project the whole rotation. We're going to work our way through it. I think this is going to set us up better. By the time this show ends, I'm going to take everything we did on screen, push it through to Stokastic. All of the projections, all of the ownership will be updated to the best of our ability to start this day. Right now, normally, I would have been sitting at my desk doing the exact same thing, getting everything ready to start the show at 9 a.m. so that we could do an hour show. But I felt that in that situation, one, I was moving fast through it, depending on the slate size, had to get it right. And then two, because of that, I just felt like I was less prepared for the strategy show, less prepared in the middle of the day. This is going to cut all of that out. So now we're going to be fully prepared for each game of the day and know where we stand. What used to be the strategy show. Now, at least for this week, if we find out at the end of the week you guys hate it, we'll run it back and go back to where we were. What used to be the strategy show is going to become a VOD. Once this show is done, once we have the projections up, I'm going to then record what we would normally consider to be a strategy show, but think of it like a much more abridged version. I'm going to go through it game by game, high-level details for DraftKings and FanDuel, anybody that stands out, on to the next one. You'll be able to get the slate recap in like 15 to 20 minutes instead of the hour show. Process in the morning, functional, already cleaned up data to you guys in the VOD. I think you guys just get more out of this, or at least that's my hope. Yeah, it's Steven, it's going to be, it's essentially the process, but I think this will be better. At least I hope it is. And here's the really important part for everybody that's here and for anybody that peeks in over the next stretch. If you guys want to see anything while we're doing this in the morning, just let me know. Like, there's no limit to what we can do to break this stuff down. Because we could run all this stuff. We could take a peek at tails for each game, see if anybody's dropped any bets yet. We could check Portfolio EV, same story. We could look at Sportsbook boosts for some of these specific games. Like, we could hit a lot of stuff here. There's going to be days where like I might go live earlier than 8. That's probably a big one. Like, I think if I'm right, not that it matters, but I think Thursday there might be like 3 games. Like, I'm not going to go live at fucking 7 in the morning to get through that because it's just not going to take as much time. So this might move around a little bit depending on the days. You know, if we get one of those days where there's like 14 games, we might just start when the sun rises. Israel, no starting 5. No, absolutely. Starting 5's going nowhere. No, that's not going anywhere. That'll go up too. Whether I record it live like this or not, my guess is I'll probably record it at the same time that I record like the actual video for the slate. But yeah, Israel, that's not going anywhere. This is just going to make that even easier for me. Ultimately, I was trying to use the time that I'm going to spend either way doing this more efficiently for you guys. And what I hope is it creates a better product across the board. I mean, like a peek behind the curtain, we want to try to use everything that I say on this show, like, to help populate our starting lineups page, if that makes sense. Because we're going to have all this information, but if I just say it, it disappears. We want to try to harness it. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the slate. We're in no rush. We're going to be there when we get there. And I'm going to change up the visual experience here so that we can, show what active game we're talking about, stuff like that. So we got a bunch of games today. 2, 4, 6, so 9 games overall. 8 games on the slate. Atlanta and the Clippers got dropped. That's a 10:30 start. So 7 to 9 tonight. Obviously, Monday Night Football as well. Lakers Hornets in Charlotte. Wizards Pistons in Detroit. Portland at Orlando. Cleveland at Miami. San Antonio at the Bulls. That's a fun one for where these teams' records are to start the season. Bucks Mavs. Pels Suns will be bad. Wolves Jazz. And then obviously Hawks Clips. Have I tried Madava organic coconut sugar in my coffee? I have not. Open to it. Does La Cologne use it? Alrighty, guys. Let's go. So again, as I mentioned out of the gate, this is going to funnel everything we have into the back end of Stokastic whenever we're ready to upload projections. Like, this is our baseline. This is going to get us started. Run to Publix and try it. Okay. Nate, glad you're here. Tomorrow I'll drive past Publix. I'll pop in and grab it. Why not? All right, Lakers. Let's get started here. Now, I don't know what path this is going to take, but we're going to do our best. So, Lakers, 7.5 point favorites in Charlotte, 229 total. We've got a Q tag on Austin Reeves, right groin strain. Braun, still out. Gabe Vincent out. Adu Tiero, I don't know him. He is also not playing. So I'm going to clear all the bench minutes first. And for those of you, I know I've had this on the screen before, but just so we see it, so we can get an understanding of what's on the screen. Obviously, player names, height, and weight. We can give them designations based on what their role is. We can designate whether or not they're in typically in the closing lineup. For these situations, I like to only mark people who are like, there's no chance they don't close when they can close. And so that moves around a little bit. Doesn't really matter all that much. It's more of a back-end distinction. We can set primary and secondary positions. We'll project minutes, and we'll set rotations, whether or not somebody plays 2 rotations and a half, so like the beginning of the first quarter, the end of the second, or if they play that extra rotation, end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter. The information on the right, blended plus minus from Darko and EPM. So that creates sort of like a talent rating for us. And the weight for, not that anybody cares. Sorry, that was right into the microphone. Laughed and coughed at the same time. Depending on how long each person has been in the league, it changes the weights of EPM and Darko. And that all happens on the back end because Darko doesn't use priors. So like a rookie that plays his first game, like that's the only sample Darko has. EPM has priors. So the younger, like the less you've played in the NBA, the more your weight is EPM. For guys like Luka, it's probably 50-50. So easiest thing I think we can do here is just take our first peek at the most recent Lakers game. Luka, Rui, Laravia, Smart, Ayton. Obviously, this one's going to look a little different because Austin Reeves wasn't here. Reeves into the starting lineup, Laravia right back out. I think we can be pretty comfortable with that sort of information. One thing I want to do quickly, and I'm going to have to add this table to our current view, but I want to, this minutes table on the right will typically help give me an eyeball look at what has been happening. So let's get the minutes in for the Lakers to start. Jay Nevy, don't sweat it, man. Now you just get more of me now. Now you get to work early and you get an extra chunk of time. So, by the way, in case I didn't miss it, we're going to go until we're done or until we get to 10 o'clock, whichever one of those things happened first. Okay, so I think 36 minutes for Luka makes some sense. You know, Reeves has obviously missed the last 3. He had been playing a ton. I think probably something in the 34 range makes sense. He hasn't played a basketball game in a week, so, maybe instead of 35 or 36, you take a notch off. Smart's minutes kind of bounce around a little bit, but he does seem pretty well locked into the 30s. If we look at that last game, obviously even with no Reeves, Smart played 9.5 in the second, 5.5 in the first. So we're talking 15 minutes. I mean, that's pacing 30. I think I'm willing to keep 30. That might end up being a little bit too high. I think Rui could pretty safely be 34. You gotta remember, this is a big game too, spread-wise. And then DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, I think 31 makes a lot of sense. I don't have much of an issue with any part of that rotation. So now we got the starters set up. We got the minutes in. 165 minutes to the Lakers starters. They're a plus 5.7. It's a big-time score. Now, so let's fill out the rest of their rotation, which the Lakers are pretty easy to handle. So this shouldn't be all that bad. Laravia obviously is going to be the first guy, to get a chunk of minutes here. Gonna go, let's see, when Reeves is here, there's obviously going to be less minutes. I think something like 24 makes sense. I think something in like 15 range for Vandy makes sense. Probably something similar for Connect. Probably something similar for Jackson Hayes. And then that leaves us 6. I'm going to give 5 of those to Maxey. And then I'm just going to throw 1 spillover minute onto our boy Bronny James, because I like to have 1 random extra dude in everything I do. Then I'm going to move these extra guys to the DNP section. And right there, technically, that's it. Minutes-wise, we've got the Lakers done. So now I'm going to hop over to Charlotte, and we'll get that rotation done as well. Miles Bridges, questionable with back spasms. Brandon Miller, obviously, still out. Still no Grant Williams. Still no Josh Green, no LaMelo for this one. Tijan Salon with the G League team. That is an extra special yikes of a draft pick, man. All right, so let's clear the bench. Expected starters for Charlotte today: Colin Sexton, Sion James, Con Knippel, Miles Bridges, Ryan Kalkbrenner. Okay, so we got positions in. Starter minutes shouldn't be too bad. I think 30 makes sense for Sexton, assuming he's starting, which by all accounts it seems that he is. Sion James. I know who I don't want today, and that's KJ Simpson. That dude killed me on Friday. I think Sion James feels good for 31. I mean, they want him out there guarding people. I think Knippel at 33 could realistically be 34. Miles Bridges is just playing massive minutes. I'm going to put him in at, you know what? I'm going to keep the 35 because of the Q tag. And then Kalkbrenner just kind of seems like he plays 28 just about every day. So the next guy up is going to be the first guy off the bench. Moussa Diabate is going to make the most sense to be next man up, since he's just absolutely going to play like 20 minutes today, backing up Ryan Kalkbrenner. And then we just start chopping these. So assuming Sexton's back, that's going to move Trey Mann back to the bench. That feels like a 22-minute projection. And then we're going to just chop the rest of these remaining 41 minutes between KJ Simpson, Liam McNeely, and Pat Connaughton. So that's going to be what? Like 13 is 39. So 14, 14, 13 here. We're going to go 14 McNeely, 14 Simpson, 13 Connaughton. Gets us to 240. DNP. The Hornets project as a negative 7.7. So right now we've got Hornets offensive rating at about 111. The Lakers is at 119. That's an 8-point gap in offense. Similarly, 118.4 defensive rating for Charlotte. 114.7 for the Lakers. Lakers slightly below or better than average. Obviously, Hornets aggressively awful. Based on the EPM Darko data, this line should be 10. And we do have a slight over. Now, I am expecting a bit more scoring here, but that's something we'll get into a little bit later. What I want to do right now, and this is going to be a part of the more deep divey stuff we do. I want to look at who's shooting when LaMelo's not around. So I'm going to take LaMelo off and Brandon Miller off. And let's just take a look at some of the Charlotte stats so far. So most minutes that have been played without these guys is 153 for Con Knippel. Just shy of a 24% usage rate. Miles Bridges is right around 25. Sion James, 11. Trey Mann, 27. Colin Sexton, 27. So as I'm seeing this right now, when LaMelo is not on the floor, when Brandon Miller is not on the floor, Knippel, Bridges, Mann, Sexton. Those four dudes are just going to dominate usage for this Charlotte team. Now, I ran a sim for myself, and without touching a rate or looking at anything, ended up at close to 30% usage. So basically, everybody has baseline rates. That's what I have on the screen right now. So like, as a baseline, Colin Sexton is a 26% usage guy that shoots 53% from 2, 38% from three, 84% from the line. He gets this many twos, this many threes, this many free throws per 100 possessions. So, because of that, and because of the guys that are out, the weighted total of usage is 19%, which means that these guys all get a usage bump because nobody projects to soak it all up. So that's why a guy like Colin Sexton with a 26% usage rate ends up with a 30% usage rate after the simulation happens. Because somebody, no matter what, you got to soak those possessions up. We get Zion James around 12, which makes sense. We get Ryan Kalkbrenner around 12, that makes sense. But it's Sexton, it's Knipple, it's Bridges, and it's Mann. Because Knipple's so young, his baseline usage rate is just 19. So he's not getting that same boost, and it's causing a slight under projection for Con Knipple to start. Really what we got to do is lock in some of the rates for these high usage guys, and then the rest of it will just sort of fall as it does. So if I make Con Knipple's usage rate be like 23, and I lock Sexton in, and I lock Bridges in, and I lock Trey Mann in. Now I'm just going to run it again. And by locking those in, I've moved that weighted usage rate up closer to 20. So now whatever comes out of this sim is going to be a lot closer to what we want. Because now I'm making it so those four guys will essentially get the usage I'm giving them, and then all of the extra possessions will get redistributed to the rest of these guys, largely limiting all of their usage rates to be more along the lines of what we're seeing. Because if Zion James is going to have an 11% usage rate, like, we need that. It's just as important to get the top guys right as it is the bottom. You don't want Zion James to get like an extra 2 shots. That matters. So now, sim done. Sexton to 26. Knipple's still a little low. Mann's good. Bridges maybe a hair underrepresented. I can say that as it stands right now, we're 4 real points off of Miles Bridges' points prop. But I also think that we're probably like 2 percentage points of usage too low. I'm gonna make one little toggle there. And I don't want to spend too much time on rates. I don't think that's going to be as necessary. And then there's some other things that we could look at. So for example, this is a season stats view. And I calculate the current rates for this season. We use a decay of time. So like yesterday is worth X, a week ago is worth slightly less than that. And we weight out everything. So like Con Knipple's a 24% usage guy. But in our baseline rates, it's 4.5% lower than that. So all of these little indicators, the more green they are or the more red they are, those are the places that were like most off on baseline rates. Helps give a quick idea of like where we need to focus to be a little bit different. Because, you know, someone like Miles Bridges so far this season, he's shooting 2.8 he's shooting 2 free throws per 100 possessions more than he has before. So like getting that kind of stuff correct becomes really important. So for right now, what is KJ Simpson's usage rate? Do I gotta nerf that dude? I guess I do a little bit. Perfect. So now I have what I would consider to be like a generic start for this game. But we know that we want to get a little bit more usage for Sexton and Knipple, Bridges and Mann. From an assist rate perspective, Sexton's also been a little bit more assisty. We have his baseline assist rate at 8 per 100 possessions. He's been at 9.7 so far this season. So it's possible we're a little light on the creation side for Colin Sexton. And that is something we'll be able to dial in. I'm starting to feel good here. I don't love the points prop for Miles Bridges right now. But we could take a look at the slate, because now that I have a generic set of projections, I could focus on just LA and Charlotte, and we can see if anything stands out. And I haven't looked at the Lakers rates yet either. So like, don't look at this and think, because right now we've got Marcus Smart as the number one value coming out of this game. Point guard, small forward eligible, 5K. You know, we had him in for 30 minutes, 17% usage. My guess is that that is too high, and that is slightly over projecting Marcus Smart. So if we just look at the minutes that Marcus Smart has played 222 minutes thus far, 16.8% usage rate. I mean, we're kind of spot on it, so maybe I don't feel so bad here. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of Marcus Smart value. Obviously, Colin Sexton looks solid. Zion James, not the worst point per dollar play. And then clearly, you know, Luka Doncic, very live. But one thing that I can see very clearly here, we are miles and miles below where we need to be on Austin Reeves, which isn't surprising. I don't have any rates locked right now. So Austin Reeves went from a 25% usage rate down to 21 because of Luka. We need to lock Luka and Reeves so that everybody else looks correct. So I'm just going to set this to played game, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves. Now, keep this in mind too. Austin Reeves is questionable. If Austin Reeves does not play today, we should expect Jake LaRavia to step right back into the starting lineup like he did on Saturday against the Hawks. And at which point we're going to look at Jake LaRavia much differently than we're going to look at him if Austin Reeves is in this game. So on the season, Luka and Reeves have played about 150 minutes in games where they were both active. 39.9% usage rate for Luka, 27 for Austin Reeves. Now, neither one of those are numbers that I want to like definitely put in, but I think we could probably get Luka to like 38. And then Reeves probably somewhere around like 27 and a half. And that alone should dramatically change this entire outlook for the Lakers side. Wondering how much Reeves price drops once LeBron. I mean, it's going to drop by 1,500 probably, something like that. It's just going to have to. All right, so once this sim finishes, we'll be able to just take one quick peek at the Lakers and then move it on. I took way too long on this first game. It's going to take a little bit to like get the rhythm back of what this is. There we go. Okay. Now we get Luka to 34, Reeves to 26. We're getting a little bit warmer here. That's starting to look a little bit better, which is nice. Might have to take a peek at Rui and Ayton in a bit. Luka, by the way, and Reeves, these guys are shooting so many free throws, it's insane. Just like a really large amount of free throws. I'm going to bump both of their free throw rates up a skosh. Because Luka's shooting 4.8 free throws per 100 possessions more than our baselines. Reeves is shooting 5 more. Both of their assist rates are up pretty dramatically as well. These guys are just doing everything. So I'm going to bump that assist rate up a bit too for Luka. Let's get that to like 11.8. Because I don't want to go all the way to the season rate. That would be insane. But I do want to skew it a little bit. Because things like assist rate and rebounding rate, it's not that roles change. So like if you go from a team where you weren't crashing to a team where you are now crashing, it's not that your rebounding talent changed. your opportunities are changing. And those are the things that we end up having to dial in a bit more. Like DeAndre Ayton, for example. I've got him as a 10.7 defensive rebound per 100 guy. He's at 8.2 so far this season. Is it Ayton? Is it real? It starts to become a question. So you just sort of work your way through it, make your tiny tweaks, and then I can compare it directly to the projections. Based on his current rates this year, I would expect 12.8 free throws in a game for Luka and 10 for Reeves. Now we're 4 below, but I made those tweaks. Same for the assists. Those are all going to improve. But I think we could set this game a sail and move to the next one. Quinn, morning. I'm glad I'm doing this on screen for us too, man. This is like my favorite thing to do. I like talking about the slate like this more than I like talking about anything we do. And by the way, Lakers, they don't play again until Wednesday. They've got the Thunder on Wednesday at 9:30. And the Hornets have the Bucks on Wednesday. So there we go. Let's go to game number 2. Wizards, Pistons. So we've got some news. No Bilal Coulibaly for this one. He's out with the left calf contusion. So we're going to go ahead and move Coulibaly to the injury report. We're going to move Trey Johnson into the starting lineup. Expected starting lineup for the Wizards. CJ, Trey Johnson, Chris Middleton, Keyshawn George, and Alex Sarr. Coulibaly, the only guy technically injured. So now we need to fill out this rotation. Obviously, the Wizards are a pain in the ass when it comes to this stuff. So let's project some minutes. CJ McCollum, minutes have picked up a little bit lately. Now, these guys have had people in and out of the lineups a lot. You know, Middleton's missed 3 out of the last 4. Keyshawn George missed on the 7th. Coulibaly missed 2 after missing the beginning of the season. So piecing this together gets a little difficult. CJ's minutes have crept up lately. But if Middleton is here, I think like 28 for CJ is realistic. Maybe 29. I can move that up if I need to. Trey Johnson, 28 feels about right. Let's also remember here, Pistons are 12.5 point favorites at home. So wouldn't be all that surprising if you don't get extra rotations for someone like CJ McCollum. Middleton's just playing like 22 minutes a night. He is about as meaningless as it gets. Keyshawn George plays for real, though. I'm going to go with 30 for him. And then Alex Sarr feels like a 29. It's 137 minutes to the starters for the Wizards. Negative 4.5 net rating for those starters. They are terrible. Next up, Bub Carrington. First guy off the bench. Plays about 28 minutes a night. Doesn't seem like that should change for today. All right, Kispert's going to be like somewhere in the 19 range. Justin Champagnie in like the 16 range. Marvin Bagley around 15. Still got a lot of minutes to go here. We have 25 left to hand out. We can get probably something in like the 14 range for Cam Whitmore. Realistically, could go up. Let's pull up that most recent game log for the Wiz, because that's a competitive game against Dallas. Whitmore played the standard rotation in the first half. Got a pretty sizable rotation thanks to Champagnie's foul trouble. And then actually closed. Champagnie never came back on the floor. Whitmore actually got closing run. Got to 29 minutes. I'm going to go a little bit higher on Cam Whitmore here. Even in the case of getting those extra minutes, He played 6 in the second quarter. 5. I mean, he's on pace for 24 minutes if it's just normal. Now, I'm not going to go to 24 because that's probably too much, but I am going to take him to 20. That leaves us 5 extra minutes. I'm going to hide those on Malachi Branham and Jameer Watkins. So Watkins gets 1, moves to the fringe. And Branham gets 4. And then everybody else gets a DNP. Done. All right. Wizards minutes. Done. All good. Let's go to the Pistons. Cade, Duncan Robinson, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren here in the starting lineup. Our boy Toby has missed the past 4, but he is now back. Pistons, by the way, are on the second half of a back-to-back, so we don't technically have their injury report yet. We don't know the status of Isaiah Stewart either, and technically speaking, we don't really know the status of Tobias Harris. So we're going to need to keep this in mind for the rest of the day, because we're not going to get their injury report until 1:30. So for right now, anything that we're doing for the Pistons is just a guess, because we don't know their actual status. They played yesterday. They beat the Sixers by 3. So I'm going to spend a little bit less time caring about the Pistons just because of our lack of information. But we're going to need to learn anything about Harris, Stewart, and potentially others. We have no idea. Cade for 36 minutes seems spot on. Duncan Robinson just playing a ton, but I am going to pull that down to just 30. Asar minutes have been creeping back up. 31, 34, and 34 in the last 3. But if Toby's back, that's going to be mildly limiting. I'm going to take him to 29. And then since Tobias Harris has been out a bit, I think 32 is fine just for him coming back. And then Jalen Duren, playing massive lately. Been keeping himself out of foul trouble. Had him in for 30. Gonna go a little bit higher there. Let's look at 31. And now we'll fill out the rest of this rotation. Ron Holland, probably going to be somewhere around the 18 to 20 mark. I'm going to go 19. Javonte Green, now that we have Harris back, that's probably going to be something in like the 14 range. Karis LeVert just plays like 19 minutes a night. Obviously, we got to get Beef Stew in here. Minutes are going to be a little bit different now that he's not starting. Let's get Beef Stew to like 25. And then that leaves me 5 minutes that I could hide on. I'm going to hide him on Reed and Bobby Clinton. So let's get Chaz Lanier and Jenkins to DNPs. We'll move Reed to the fringe. And we'll go 3 and 2 for these guys. And now we've got the Pistons rotation set up. We've got this as a 13.7 point line. So right around the actual betting line. I'm just going to let this rip. No locked rates or anything to start. Let's take a peek at it. Do I really think Harris will be back even though it's a back-to-back? Yeah, why? I mean, he didn't play yesterday. Like, I'm guessing he could have yesterday. I don't know. Jake, you might be right. I truly, like, this is one of those situations. I don't care. I think he's supposed to be back, but like, of all the stuff we could look at right now, guessing injury reports stuff, I couldn't care less. They'll give us this information one way or the other, especially with this being a 7 o'clock start. He could very easily be out, and we look at this game a little bit differently. That can happen. I mean, right out of the gate, Cade Cunningham does look pretty favorable, which is unsurprising given the matchup here. The matchup doesn't get much better. Now, I'm not much of a Cade guy. Like, I like him, clearly. And he's really good. I don't mean it like that either. But I don't think he's as good as people think he is yet. But, you know, it's all there. The assists are insane. You know, one of the best point guards that you'll get. He's just so inefficient, and I don't know why. And he obviously barfs the ball over the gym. But, like, we look at Cade because his raw numbers are so sick. It's... if it ever clicks, it's going to be amazing. Because, like, even when it doesn't click, he was a plus 2.5 offense guy last year with size. But a 6'6 guy like him with his size shouldn't shoot 26th percentile at the rim. This is a guy that can shoot 21st percentile from three. Eek. You got this, Cade. You got this. I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to like quite a bit of this game, though, from the Pistons. Because if we think about it from a defensive perspective, the Wizards... Interesting. Okay, 20th in effective field goal percentage. So, I mean, realistic, like, you know, below average, but technically speaking, in the middle. However, they cause 10.9 turnovers. Or 10.9% turnovers. That is dead last. They don't create any turnovers at all defensively. That's a really good sign for Cade. The rebounding is all fine. They don't get to the line either, 28th in offensive free throw rate. So that bodes well for someone like Jalen Duren. And I think this just, I mean, it's always going to bode well because they're awful. They're 1-9. They're a negative 10 net rating. They're the worst team in the league. They're 30th in offense. They're 29th in defense. Nobody's worse than the Wizards. This is an incredible spot for Cade and the rest of these guys. And who knows? Maybe we'll find out that we have even more value here if people end up out. Again, don't overreact to these numbers, but Duncan Robinson's going to look like a pretty good value at 4,500. Cam Whitmore exists at 3,500, power forward, and could very easily play minutes in the fourth quarter of a blowout. There is some value on a 22-minute Chris Middleton. I don't think it'll be useful by the time we get there. If Toby's back, he's fine at 5,700. Carrington for value. Cade's 10-5, but he gets to face the Wizards. I will happily pay up for that. There's a lot to like here in this game. And it's both sides, honestly. There's value for Washington, and then it's just Detroit being in a situation where they're in the most advantageous matchup of anybody on the slate. They're 12.5 point favorites. Next closest line is 8.5. Total's 235. Cleveland, Miami is higher than that, but this is still a great total. We're going to be paying very close attention to Detroit for the entire day. Let's hit the rotations for the Portland Trailblazers and the Orlando Magic. Portland played on Saturday, lost to Miami. Jake, Chris Middleton started on the Pistons. That's where his career began. Orlando at home, 2.5 point favorites, 235 total. From an injury perspective, it's everything we've known. No new news, and nobody else out that matters for Portland. Blake Wesley's still out. Matisse Thybulle still out. Scoot's still out. So we're going to get Drew, Sharp, Kamara, Denny, Klingon. Portland, not all that difficult to project. This is a pretty cut and dry rotation. So, Drew Holiday, playing about 34 minutes a night, should be competitive. No reason to think his minutes would be anything other than what he normally gets. Shaedon Sharp playing a lot less than one might expect. Kind of only gets like 28 minutes when it matters. I'm going to go 27 right now. Should be competitive. Need his creation. Tumani Kamara is just amazing. He's going to need a couple extra minutes here as well. So I'm going to get him up in that same range as Drew. Denny just plays massive minutes as well. He's got to be in that same range as all of these guys. These guys just play a ton. And then Donovan Clingan, you want him to be out there as much as you can. I'm going to give him 26 minutes in this case. Let's clear out the rest of the rotation for the bench. And let's fill it out. Jeremy Grant, obviously, your first guy up here. Probably something like 29 makes a lot of sense. Chris Murray, getting good run off the bench. Get him in for 22. Time Lord is back. Slot him in for about 9. City Sissoko has been playing a little bit, as has Dwap Reith. They have been leaning a little bit bigger now that they've had some of these guys out. We've got 25 minutes left. Gonna try to split those between Reith and Sissoko pretty cleanly. I'll go 13 Sissoko, 12 to Reith. Get Reith up into the rotation and drop these guys into DNP, but that's 240. Slightly positive team. Defense is where it's at. Negative 0.9 on offense, positive 1.4 on defense for the game. Starters are positive across the board. They look good. The problem for Portland is their bench offense. They desperately need Scoot back so that they can get one additional creator out there, because they don't have much on that second unit. And Jeremy Grant is not that great not that great on paper any longer. But cut and dry Portland rotation. Like, they don't have that many dudes. They play the same guys all the time. Not all that hard to break these guys down. Let's get through Orlando. Now, Orlando is on the second half of a back-to-back. They lost to Boston yesterday. Let's go ahead and pull that up in Popcorn Machine. Take a look. Lost by 4. So we got Suggs, Banchero, Carter, Bane, Franz. Expectation here should be that Jalen Suggs is not playing in this game. And we did get 29 minutes out of Suggs yesterday, which is interesting. But don't think we're going to see him. Expectation here should be that Anthony Black steps into the starting lineup in place of Jalen Suggs. So I'm going to pull Jalen Suggs' minutes, move him to the injured section. Not going to have that designation right now because back-to-back don't have the injury report. We will get that news at a crisp 1:30 Eastern time. And if you're here, guys, now that we've been going through this for a bit, been live for about 45 minutes, please hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. We got a lot to talk about with regards to that. 174 of you here. I'm glad to have you. Very glad to have you. All right, let's move Anthony Black to the point guard spot. Done. And let's start projecting minutes. So if Anthony Black is stepping into the starting lineup here, I think 30 makes a lot of sense. Desmond Bane at 31. I want to make 32 given the competitive nature. Franz to 35. Paolo to 35. Wendell Carter Jr. to 30. It's 162 minutes to the starters. Such a good basketball team. 0.8 offense, 1.3 defense, plus 2 overall. Very, very good. Very, very good. That's technically a plus 10, just so people understand. Let's hit the rest of this rotation. Obviously, Goga Batadze is going to be going in there to play some backup center run. Tristan Da Silva has been a key cog in this rotation. He's going to get 22 minutes. Tyus Jones probably plays a little bit more than you would expect just because of no Suggs, so that'll be 15. And then, man, really, they have not been playing many other people. We still have 26 minutes to hand out here. This is going to go to Isaac and Penda, is my expectation. So if I have 26 minutes, I'm going to split that between those guys. 13 and 13 to John Isaac and Noah Penda. Let's get them in the rotation since there's no Suggs. Fistula, I assume that he's not playing the back-to-back, but we don't know that for sure. But I'd be very surprised. Magic projected. Not a lot of weird stuff in their rotation. Very even matchup. We're talking about two teams that are like right at a 1 net rating. They're basically the same offensively and defensively, which I find fun to see. Like, they're both a little bit worse offensively. They're both a little bit better defensively. This is a really nice matchup. We got the line Orlando by 1.5. The line is 2.5. Interested to see the score here. But yeah, we want to keep our eye there. My expectation is that Anthony Black looks like an exceptional value play today, just because that's what happens when you go from bench role to starter role, but he could also be stupidly priced. There's no doubt that that could be a thing. While that sim runs, I do want to remind all of you that we are awesome and that you should help us by doing all the little things that don't really take much time. Like, if you follow us, if you're looking for bets or parlays or pick'em cards, you should get Tails. It's totally free. I could pull it up on the screen then after this, and we could take a look at some of the bets for some of the games we've already looked at. Download the app. Follow people. You can follow anybody you want. It doesn't cost you anything. You can get a giant list of free plays from all sorts of people involved at Stokastic or just other experts. You can subscribe to people directly. Guys like DK DFS, who just absolutely grind sports betting in the best possible way, puts out great information. You can subscribe to someone like him. But if you do download the Tails app, it would mean the world to us if you gave it a review in the App Store, Google Play or Apple. These reviews help us disproportionately, and the bigger we can grow in that App Store, the more that we can provide you guys in the future. So come on in, guys. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. There we go. I was hitting like 10 different buttons there. All right, let's take a peek here. Yeah, Anthony Black's not going to look too shabby. These usage rates are going to need quite a bit of a once-over. But here are the value plays. Now, again, don't just look at this immediately. No tweaks have happened here. Flat 3K, Tyus Jones. With no Suggs, probably. Not projected for enough minutes, but just a guy to, like, pencil away, maybe. A little bit of value on City Sissoko, but again, these guys are not going to be projected for enough minutes to, like, outweigh really good value plays. And those numbers for their projections aren't going to be this. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Like, that 18-9 for Sissoko has not been tweaked. It'll be 10 by the time we get there. So none of that's going to really exist. The takeaway for this game is it's not a great DFS game. And that shouldn't be all that surprising. Portland's a defensive team. Orlando's a defensive team. Neither one of them are particularly offensive teams. And all of their rotations are essentially intact, save for Suggs. So it's just a lot of guys that play a lot that already have standard salaries. This Portland-Orlando game is not something that I expect to look all that interesting DFS-wise. The sim came out on the number. 235 sim total, 235 Vegas total. Any interesting games? 2.8% of the time, Denny Avdia got a triple-double, if that's interesting to anybody. These are the interesting things to me, though. Like, when the Orlando Magic win, Paolo Banchero scores 45 fantasy points. When the Orlando Magic lose, Paolo Banchero scores 40 fantasy points. I like thinking about it like this for these guys that, like, for real distinct differences in the way that they play in wins and losses. Fun. I just don't think we're going to pay that much attention to Portland today. But what I do want to do, since I just mentioned it, is pull up tails right now. I want to see if there's any NBA bets out there that have been dropped on the free picks feed. You guys can do this. You go to oddshopper.com, head to tails. I'm on the tails expert picks page. I'm going to go to the explore side. And this is just anything that's been posted. You can find trending topics like Monday Night Football. You just click that. You're just going to get Monday Night Football stuff. So if you're trying to find things quickly, it's right there for you. I'm just going to hit NBA here and see what's popped up so far, if anything. Looks like T-Money DFS dropped a Vassell under assists for today. But here's what's interesting in tails. Let's say you like that. Let's say we just looked at it and we want to use it too. If you like that bet, you can click this tail button and it pulls up all of the sports books and all of the lines for that bet. So, you can get it at minus 109 on Onyx odds, or the best odds you can find for it are plus 101 on ProfitX. Even minus 104 on FanDuel is here as a slightly better line. You always want to make sure you're getting the best that you can. Ooh, Greg dropped a futures bet. Oh, that was ages ago. Not a lot of NBA out there yet because it's 8:56 a.m. But I will have some NBA stuff up there shortly. In fact, I dropped this bad boy on Friday. Cavs alt line against the Wiz. Took it at minus 22.5. I think they won by like 40. Garland had like 9 assists. Sarr had like 4 rebounds. Nuked this one as a plus 780 boosted same game parlay. This is the kind of stuff I'm dropping now after this show, and it's going to be way more dialed in and easy to get it out just because of how we're doing this. Let's go to Cleveland. Now this game, I think, is going to get a little wild. Cleveland's a 7.5 point favorite in Miami. The line is 247. 247. The next closest line today is 235. This game has 12 more real points in it than any other game. Now, Cleveland, they played on Saturday. They beat the Bulls. And then they don't play again until Wednesday. And they play the Heat again in Miami for reasons, I guess. So, Lonzo, not on the injury report. Dean Wade, not on the injury report. Chris Livingston and Max Strus both are. And then Larry Nance is questionable for this one. But otherwise, we've got like the full Cleveland team. So that's fun. So let's project the Cleveland rotation. Shall we? First up, Darius Garland. Played 26 minutes in his first game back, played 28 in his second, sat the second half of the back-to-back. 28 at a minimum. It's going to climb. I feel like 29 makes some sense here. Donovan Mitchell feels pretty good right at 34? Yeah, 34. DeAndre Hunter, 30, perfect sense. Evan Mobley, 34, just like Mitchell. And then Jared Allen, who's been playing well, but not playing crazy minutes. We're just going to keep him at 28. Now let's finish off the rest of this rotation. We're going to get LaMelo Ball in for 22 minutes. Lonzo Ball. I'm sure they'd love to have LaMelo. That would be an even better basketball player. All right, next guy up is going to be probably Jalen Tyson at actually, it's probably Dean Wade at 18. And then Nance at 14. Tyson at 18. Ooh, what's going to happen to this rotation? I'm guessing Craig Porter will just be out of the rotation, and those final 13 minutes will go to Merrill. because that's 10. Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, Allen, starters. Ball, Tyson, Wade, Nance. I'm guessing Merrill over Craig Porter now, if these guys are going to be at full strength. Now, if Nance is out, then I think Porter steps back in there. Not that any of those guys are going to matter. You're not playing the bench guards for Cleveland, so who cares? These guys are so good, though. Plus 6.5 overall offense, plus 2.5 defense. The offense is plus 8 as starters. Whew, this team is so damn good. And then we get to Miami. Miami played Saturday against Portland, which we just talked about. They're obviously going to be playing Cleveland today and Wednesday. No Hero, no Rozier, no Myron Gardner, Jameer Young, or Bam Adebayo out with that left toe sprain. So we're looking at a starting lineup of Davion Mitchell, Norm Powell, Pelle Larson, Andrew Wiggins, and Kel'el Ware. And we've seen this one. Bam has missed the last two. They kind of just have a locked-in rotation right now, so I think it's going to be pretty easy to work our way through Miami here. And I'm really curious to see what these results look like. So Davion Mitchell is playing about 31 minutes a night. He's just going to be out there. Norm Powell is playing about 30 minutes a night. That should be fine. Might be a tad high. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Larson. I think that could be 25. Could start or could close. Doesn't have to. Wiggins sitting here at 33 minutes. That's probably the easiest one to do right now. And then Kel'el Ware in the 2 games with Bam out played 30 in the first, played 23 in the second. 27 for him is fine. Then we'll get to the bench. Jaime Jaquez is going to be your first guy here. We're going to go ahead and give him 28 minutes. Drew Smith has been sitting right around 17. Nikola Jovic has different minutes every day. 24. I mean, here are his last 5. 31, 19, 20, 18, 28. Maybe 23 makes more sense. Simone Fontecchio in for 18. That takes us to 232. And I think 6 spillovers are fine. I'm going to split those between Kashad Johnson and Vlad Golden as 2 fringe options. Apologies to Kasparis Yagashonis. Not going to make it today. But that's our 240 minutes for Miami against Cleveland. We should expect very sizable numbers here because, again, the over-under in this game is 247. Very curious to see how this looks when it comes out. Even shorthanded, this Heat team isn't next level trash. They just don't have anybody good on offense outside of Norm Powell. Norm Powell, the only player in plus minus on the Heat above average. That's tough to do and still be a decent team. But that's how good most of these guys are defensively. The very moment I mentioned Powell could be too high, Greg posts a tails under. Okay. That makes sense. So sim results were 115. So quite a bit under that number, which I think is interesting. Something that I'll pay attention to a little bit later. Anything interesting on the advanced section? Davion Mitchell has a outside chance at a 15 plus assist game. That's a thing. That's a thing I see here. Did come in a little bit lighter than that number, though. That's a lot of scoring for 2 teams that land defensively. 247's a lot. That's going to be a lot of Cleveland doing that. But first blush, love the under here. We might have to bet this while we're on here. All right, Tails picks, Explore, NBA, Greg Ehrenberg, under 32.5 PRA on Norm Powell. I would be remiss if I didn't take a look at this because Greg just posted it, right? We gotta look at Miami and dial in the rates here. So let's pull up PBP stats. Let's pull up Miami. Let's get Bam Adebayo off the floor. And let's make sure that Wiggins and Powell both played. All right. Norm Powell, 100 minutes in this scenario, 31% usage rate. He came out of the Sims at 23. So we clearly need to move this one around at least a little bit. Where else is the usage? Jaime Jaquez in the 22 range. Jovic 22. Wiggins 22. It really just is Norm Powell. So I'm going to move Norm Powell to like 27.5. That'll move him up quite a bit. And I'm guessing the rest of these guys just work themselves out a bit. Now for Norm Powell, is he shooting free throws in a different way? No, actually. He's shooting free throws in a way different way. So far this season, 10.8 free throws per 100 possessions for Norm Powell. He is in as a baseline 6 guy. Now, free throws are up everywhere. The free throw rate this season is massively higher than it had been before. So once we get that usage bump, this becomes a trickle down. When you increase the usage, the free throws are going to increase on their own because he's taking more shots and therefore getting more shooting fouls. So I don't want to make those changes until we dial usage. Now that we got him up to 23.8, we're still not even close. But we are close to 3 free throws behind on Norm Powell right now. So at the very least, we're going to bump that guy up. Since Greg posted that bet, we're going to evaluate that specific bet. Why is Cleveland versus Miami not in projections? There are no projections yet. That's why. You will find none of these games that we're talking about in the projections because they have not been placed on the site yet. They'll go up after the show. So this should make Norm Powell look much closer to the market. And he is. So now we're about right on the free throws. Shot attempts are dialed in. I have don't have too much of an issue there. Short on a free throw, but that's fine. Little light on the assists. Has he been a little bit more of an assist guy? No, not really. So I'm kind of happy with what we have for Norm Powell right now. And in that case, it's 21.5 points, 3.3 boards, 1.4 assists. So 4.7 and 21.5 is 26.2. Greg's bet is under 32.5. Yeah. Give me Greg's bet by a mile. Not to mention, he got it at DraftKings at minus 123. It's sitting at profit. Oh, these are very different lines. How the hell did Greg find a 32.5? It's 28.5 everywhere else. Not to mention, the number that I just handed out was 26.2. I'm under that right now. But that is our boy Norm. Did he score 50 at all during the Sims? I'm curious about that one. Norm Powell did not score 50 in any of the Sims. But I like the under in this game. I don't think there's enough scoring here. I mean, I guess this is the main event tonight. San Antonio Spurs at the Chicago Bulls. Spurs played on Saturday, beat the Pels. No surprise. They Spurs are 3.5-point favorites here in Chicago, 236 total. De'Aaron Fox is back. Dylan Harper still out. Luke Cornett, questionable. No Harrison Ingram, Riley Minix, or Dylan Harper. We're going to get Julian Champagnie out of the rotation, and now we get De'Aaron Fox in. Obviously, Fox back for the last one, but I didn't play NBA DFS on Saturday, so nothing was updated. Oops. Well, what's up, Julian Champagnie? That's a very nice picture of you. I didn't mean to click on you. All right, clear the minutes. Let's do the starters. So De'Aaron Fox got 31 minutes in his first game back. I'm going 32. It's De'Aaron Fox. I see no reason to think that should be anything other than that. We got to move all these positions because everybody's now moving up a notch. We've got Castle in for 34. I mean, realistically, I think that's probably 35. Vassell for 34. The Barnacle of the Bay seems fine at 29. And then Victor Wembanyama, 33. At least based on those guys, I think he's probably closing. I don't think those guys are going to play in any way, so we could skip that. All right, let's hit the rotation now for the rest of the Spurs. I think Keldon Johnson is probably locked into like 22 minutes. I think Julian Champagnie is probably somewhere in that same neighborhood. We haven't had Luke Cornett in ages. I'm going to give him 20. I don't know how ready he is. That is likely some information we get later. Only other guy that had been playing, I guess, is Lindy Waters. I don't think Carter Bryant's going to be done. I don't think Olynyk's going to play if Cornett's back. McLaughlin's done. Oh, fuck, Sohan. Now I got to get Sohan minutes now, too. What is going to happen to this row? I got to cut everybody's minutes. If they're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, if they're going to do a 9-man rotation, they can do it. I think this is probably the end of Lindy Waters. And I don't see where Carter Bryant gets any minutes now. Keldon, I think they keep just for the offensive piece. I'll go 21 to Keldon. I'm going to go 19 to Cornett. I'm going to go 19 to Champagnie. That can get me to 18 on Sohan, and then I don't have anybody else. I think that's fine. Mostly because it doesn't, matter too much what you do on the end of the rotation. I mean, Spurs look great. I'm anxious to see how all of this usage impact, having Fox back is not good for Castle offensively. We'll see how Castle handles that. Let's go to the Bulls. So Bulls lost to Cleveland on Saturday. They've got San Antonio today. They've got the Pistons on Wednesday. Injury-wise, no Kobe White, no Zach Collins. We're used to that. Kobe White not going to be back anytime soon. And then we've got a probable tag on Patrick Williams. And then the big one here. This one is obviously going to matter massively for what we end up getting out of Chicago today. Josh Giddey is questionable with a right ankle sprain. This will, if Josh Giddey doesn't play, it should be very obvious to everyone that we're going to get a lot of the Chicago Bulls. Right? I'm not telling anybody anything we don't already know. That will create a lot of usage, touches, minutes, etc. So let's do this. Trey Jones up first. 29 minutes for Trey Jones seems fine. Josh Giddey, he's playing 35, 36 a night. If he's in, that's what we're putting him for. Okoro, all over the place, which is crazy. 33-17, 33-22, 16. Split the difference. Trevor, you're out of your mind, man. Truly. Matas Buzelis feels good at 30. Vooch feels good at 31. Herder, first guy off the bench, 24 makes sense. We'll go 24. Io back, played the last two, 20 and 23. I think 24 makes some sense for him as well. Jalen Smith just playing that classic 17-minute backup run. Patrick Williams has been sitting in the 20s as well. Probably 22 works for him. 4 minutes spillover for Julian Phillips. Doesn't get any easier than that. And then we just DNP Dalen Terry, DNP Javon Carter. $240 minutes for the Bulls. We've got it San Antonio by 2. The line is actually 3.5. Okoro is a very bad play. Yeah, I would imagine that's true. All right, I got to look at this now. San Antonio against New Orleans. Wait, hold on. Trevor, what are you talking about? Wemby closed the whole game. Trevor, if you're talking about the most recent game, the New Orleans game, everything you're saying is wrong. You're 100% incorrect in the words that are coming out of your fingers. All right, let's see. Do I have Josh Giddey triple-double odds? 13.8% of the time, Josh Giddey gets a triple-double. Also had a 15-assist game 3.8% of the time. Shout out Josh Giddey. Shout out Josh Giddey. Let's look at that game, though, because we need to remember what that's going to become. $5,600 for Trey Jones. Decent value. Could look better if Giddey's out, because Trey Jones' assist rate will be like 1 billion if Giddey doesn't play. I think Ayo Dosunmu is already a very reasonable shooting guard small forward value option. That will look way better if Giddey is out. Kevin Huerter will look way better if Giddey is out. There's not much else here, though. Patrick Williams will look better if Giddey's out. There's a lot of decent value. Patrick Williams at 3,800, Dosunmu at 42, Huerter at 48. Jalen Smith is reasonable at 4,300. I would say that the guy I want from San Antonio is going to be De'Aaron Fox, because De'Aaron Fox is 6,900 today. That is not going to be De'Aaron Fox's price very long. So if he's already playing north of 30 minutes, the only thing that stops De'Aaron Fox from being the best play in this game is if Josh Giddey doesn't play. But right now, I think De'Aaron Fox looks amazing. Because 6,900 is just not... De'Aaron Fox is $500 more expensive than Devin Vassell. I love De'Aaron Fox today here. Especially against the Bulls. It's not like there's a defense or a guy that's going to stop him from getting to the rim. This is a huge De'Aaron Fox day. Be ready for it. But the big takeaway in San Antonio and Chicago is the status of Josh Giddey, because that will completely change the outlook of today's slate. We go to Milwaukee. And guys, reminder, hit the like button if you haven't. Again, this is a different format for this show. At least it's a pilot for this week. My hope is that it just continues. If there's things you want me to look at or see, feel free to shout them out. This is a group activity. I want you guys to be a part of this as much as I am. So if you want me to look at something, if you have an angle, something that you want to point out, hit me with it. I'm happy to look at it. Thoughts on an 8K Fox on FanDuel? I mean, clearly not the same play, but since you have to roster 2 shooting guards and 2 point guards, like, he'll still look decent. But, like, that's more like his real price than a $6,900 stupidity. All right, Bucks, 1.5 point favorites in Dallas. Milwaukee is on a back-to-back. They lost to Houston yesterday. We are not going to spend too much time here trying to figure out the Milwaukee Bucks because we don't have their injury report. Taurean Prince hasn't played the last 2. Kevin Porter Jr. has been out. I'm going to assume those things continue. And we just kind of treat this as our first draft. Ryan Rollins in for 30 minutes. Gary Trent in for 28. AJ Green for 27. Giannis for 32. Miles Turner for 29. All that feels fine. Then we hit the rotational pieces. Kyle Kuzma played 27, 28, and 30 in the last 3. Hard time not wanting to give him 27 there. Got to be honest. Bobby Portis somewhere in the like 21, 22 range. Cole Anthony, something in that like 20, 21 range. That leaves us 26 minutes left. Amir Coffey's obviously going to get about 12 of those. That leaves us 14, though, still. Interesting. It's a lot of spillover. More than I would like. I guess I'll take Kuz back to 28. Portis to 22, Anthony to 21, Coffey to 13. Leaves me 10. We'll split those between Gary Harris and Jericho Sims. That's 240 for the Bucks. Sneaky. Decent team. And obviously, that is solely because of Giannis. But the bench is bad. Negative 3.2. Kyle Kuzma causing most of those problems. Although Amir Coffey not too far behind. But that's Milwaukee. We'll go to the Dallas side. Dallas beat the Wizards on Saturday. So they're not on a back-to-back. They don't play tomorrow. They play Phoenix on Friday. But we do have injury news here. Derek Lively not technically out just yet. He is doubtful. Still no Exum, obviously Kyrie out. AD, however, also questionable for this one, as is Daniel Gafford. So let me make sure I say this so everybody hears it. Anthony Davis is questionable. Daniel Gafford is questionable. Derek Lively is doubtful. We clearly have no idea what this is going to look like for Dallas today. Jeff, thanks for being here, man. Marcus Walker, thank you, Josh and Sims team. I tied for first in the NBA Minimax last night. Attaboy. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, let's try this Dallas rotation on for size. D'Angelo Russell. Dude, how does this guy go from the bench playing 28 minutes to a starter that plays 18? That's hard to do. I mean, I guess I'm going to go like 24. I mean, his last 5 games, 17, 16, 21, 29, and 30. What do you do with that? Now, Max Christie just plays 30 a night. That guy's easy. Cooper Flagg plays like 32, 33 a night. That guy's easy. PJ Washington is playing like 34, 35 a night. That guy's easy. Assuming AD is back, I think he just plays like a normal person. So I'm going to give him 30. Clear the bench. Brandon Williams seems like he's a complete part of this rotation now. So he's going to go for 20. Realistically now, Daniel Gafford somewhere in like the 20-21 range. Clay goes in for 19. Najee Marshall's minutes have picked up a little bit. lately. I think we can probably go something like 25 for him. And then realistically, it's just a scatter of these last couple minutes. I'm just going to split 3 to Jaden Hardy. 2 to Ryan Nembhard. Just real minimal stuff. Don't matter. You know, it's the bottom of the rotation dudes. You could set those guys to any minutes. They will not really matter. There's Dallas. There's Dallas. Not a good basketball team right now. Milwaukee by 1.5. The spread is 1.5. Nothing too crazy here, but obviously, when it comes to this game, the news on Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford changes everything. Like, what if both of those guys sit? We could end up playing Musa Cisse at what I can only imagine is a minimum salary today. You know? We have no idea who's going to... Like, there are 48 center minutes to go around in this game, and we don't know who's going to play a single one of them. Chris, you know you could just not use him then, right? They're not requirements coming out of the Sims. All right, anything interesting with regards to the data on our boy Giannis Antetokounmpo? 6.2% triple-double. Okay, that works. I don't want to look too much into this game just because of the Dallas side, but you know, 4K Brandon Williams off the bench could be something there. $5,100 Kyle Kuzma off the bench is unfortunately maybe the most interesting thing here. Well, there we go. Chris, the easiest thing I could tell you here, if you're getting a lot of Trendon Watford and you don't want to, just get less. You can pick the exact number you want of him if you want. If you open it up and you favorite your lineups and he's in 60% of it, and you want it to be 20, then just set an exposure cap to 20. Done. Then you don't have a bunch of Trendon Watford and hate your lineups before you start. New Orleans Pelicans. Whew, this game sucks. New Orleans Pelicans, 8.5-point dogs in Phoenix, 228 total. Reminder, that Miami game had a 247 total. Pelicans played Saturday and lost. They played Portland on Wednesday, so no back-to-backs here. So let's play the New Orleans Pelicans rotational game. No DeJounte Murray, obviously. No Jordan Poole. No Zion. Yves Missi questionable for this one. Let's project some rotations. Starting lineup: Fears, Jones, Murphy, Bay, Looney. Now, New Orleans, if Washington's not the worst team in the league, New Orleans is going to give them a run for their money, along with Brooklyn. Cisse's 4,100? Sheesh. Never mind. All right, Jeremiah Fears. 28 feels about right for him. Herb Jones, 34. Trey Murphy, 36. Already in for it, too. Sadiq Bey, 28 feels about right. And then Looney, 17 sounds fine. We haven't had Yves Missi for 3 games. Assuming he's back, he's probably playing something like 20 off the bench. I doubt that's gonna matter, but if he has a stupid price, it could. Don't forget, Q tag. I'm gonna skip Queen for a second. Let's get Alvarado in for 18. Let's get Jordan Hawkins in for 18. We can probably get PV in for 18 as well. All three of those guys have just been playing that every time. Does leave us enough minutes to easily get Derek Queen back in there. His minutes will likely come down, assuming Misi plays. It's probably another 18, and then I'll hide 5 more on Carlo Makovich. Goodbye, Bryce McGowans. Goodbye, DeAndre Jordan. 240 minutes for the Pels. God, these guys just are dreadful. Dreadful basketball players. Let me pull that small forward from Queen. Yeah, that helps. All right, let's go to Phoenix. Suns played on Saturday, beat the Clippers. Got the Pels today, got Dallas on Wednesday. No Jalen Green for this one. So let's go ahead and move him out. Take his minutes off as well. Welcome back, Dylan Brooks, though. You'll slide into the starting lineup. So we're going to have a starting lineup of Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks, Royce O'Neal, and Mark Williams. Doc, what do you want to see? Okay. Suns. Shouldn't be too bad. Just 1,000 centers that all suck. How hard could this be? Devin Booker. 37 minutes. Just plays a ton. Grayson Allen. 33 feels fine. Dylan Brooks. Played 28 in his first game back. 29 feels about right for him right now. Could easily play more. Doc, I'll add those to the list. Let me get my notebook. Foul trouble. Blowouts. Doc, I got you. What I'll do, I'll get those set up, and then I'll also set my sim up to do 10K out of the gate, and then casual backfill up to like 100 so we have more samples. That'd be fun. All right, let's hit the rest of this Suns rotation, then we'll talk about the schedule for the rest of the day. Let's get Gillespie in for 22. Actually, with Green gone now, that's probably more of a 24. I gotta get Mark Williams up as well. That's more of a 27 now. Ryan Dunn right around 20 makes sense. Goodwin gets probably something like 14. Nick Richards 10. Iguodaro 8. Okay, we got 8 left. That's good. Guess we'll hide those on Livers and Nigel Hayes. Easy peasy. Sun's done. So we got Phoenix by 8. Spread is 8. So this one is feeling pretty darn good here. Not a lot of tweaks. Not a lot to, like, have to break down in this one either. Now, unfortunately, I think we're probably going to be interested in this game given the defensive status here. Both of these teams, 2.5 points worse than average on defense. Now, Pelicans do it the same way on offense. Suns offense is actually good because of Devin Booker, because of Grayson Allen, Brooks, Mark Williams, Royce O'Neal, Colin Gillespie. These guys are all around average offensive players as well. So that works for me. Let's take a look at the results. Leaning a little bit more towards the Pels, which I find interesting. Certainly soaring over the over. Not that that surprises me. I think this is just going to be a game with a lot of offense. 1.7% of the time the Sims ran, Devin Booker scored 50. That's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, Doc, I could add way more fun stuff here. Devin Booker scores 30 real points and wins, 27 in losses. That's stuff we could look at. I do have some generic team-based blowout stuff, like 39% of the time this game was decided by 15 plus. 25% of the time it was within 5. 43% of the time it went over 240. 10% chance of OT. I got some of it. I think Jeremiah Fears at 5,100 is going to have a little bit of interest for me. Goodwin could be sneaky as like a 1%er. And 9,600 for Book in this matchup. He never gets any ownership, but I think he'll be a guy that I end up having a bit more on. Travis, you just said it, right? Like Book tonight? Same. I do too. All right, let me hit you guys with the schedule for the rest of the day. NFL Strategy Show is going to come up next. They're going to be at 10 o'clock. They're going to be breaking down Monday Night Football. And NBA Live Before Lock, 6 p.m. tonight. Myself and Eric. And then you'll get Laffy and Spags tonight, 7:15 for Monday Night Football. Easy schedule today, folks. Let's hit the final game on the main. It's going to be Minnesota and Utah. Minnesota is on a back-to-back. They beat the shit out of the Kings yesterday, 144 to 117. Now they play the Jazz today. They get the Kings. That's an interesting schedule. So Minnesota doesn't play again until Friday in the NBA Cup against the Kings once again. Today, 7.5-point favorites in Utah. And again, they're on the back-to-back. Technically speaking, we don't know what they're doing. My assumption is that everybody's playing. Maybe Mike Conley doesn't play, and you fill his bench rotation minutes with like Bones Highland or something. Handling the minutes for Minnesota, there really aren't too many teams in the league that are easier to handle than this. Let's get DiVincenzo in for 30. Ant for 33. Which is a little scary given the last 3 games, but was a blowout. McDaniel's in for 31. Julius Randle in for 33. Rudy Gobert in for 31. Naz Reid will be very easy. He just gets 23. Go about your business. Let's get 18 for Mike Conley, at least for right now. That'll be an easy fix. Shouldn't matter. Let's get 18 for Jalen Clark as well. 23 minutes left. Dillingham will get like 14 of those. Bones Highland will get like 8. And I'm going to hide 1 additional minute on Johnny Juzang for reasons. Would they consider sitting Ant on the back-to-back? Absolutely. I don't expect that, but like anything is possible today. We have no idea. Look, it was a back-to-back yesterday. We don't know how anybody's feeling coming out of this one. Wouldn't be surprising at all. Do I think it's happening? No, but all right, for Utah. Utah played Minnesota most recently on Friday. They got beat by 40, 137 to 97. Now we're running it back, and Utah is on the front end of a back-to-back. They've got the Pacers tomorrow night. Both of these games at home, though, so nothing too crazy on the Utah side. Let's take a look at Utah, and let's project their rotation. So we've got Isaiah Collier starting, Keontae George, Svi Mikhailiuk, Lauri Markkanen, and Yusuf Nurkic. From an injury perspective, no Walker Kessler, done for the year. No Shibwe, Tanjay, or George Niang. They need to get George Niang back, man. All that dude does is win, 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 no matter what. All right, Collier came back in that opener on Friday for him. Played 26 minutes. So I'm going to keep it right around there for right now. Got to swap Keontae George to be primary shooting guard. Got to swap Svi Mykhailiuk to be primary small forward. And I've got to swap Markkanen to be primary power forward. Got it. Now, Keontae George, 26 minutes. Now, obviously, they got beat by a billion in that game, but I'm going to bring him down to 32. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it 31. Svi Mykhailiuk played 18. When it's competitive, we'll get a couple more. I'm going to go 24. Lauri Markkanen, 34 seems about right. And then Nurk, 27. You just never know. Alrighty, next up, Ace Bailey coming in at about 20. Kyle Filipowski coming in at 20. Taylor Hendricks coming in around 18. Walter Clayton coming in around 14. Got 26 minutes left. And this is where they start like playing everybody. So we're going to move him to the fringe. We're going to move Love to the fringe. We're going to get Harkless for 8. Sensabaugh for 8. Cody Williams for 8. That's it, right? I'll throw 2 more on slow-mo. Apologies, Kevin Love. Not that it matters. And that's our Utah rotation. They are next level bad. Negative 3.9 on offense, negative 3.9 on defense. At least they're consistent. Minnesota by 10.5. The line is 7.5. I think that we should talk about that because a 3-point gap here does sort of make me feel like we might be seeing an Anthony Edwards Q tag or a somebody that's real Q tag or a Markkanen Q tag not playing. No, that wouldn't be it. It'd be the other way. Yeah, I mean, look, EPM Darko is 3 points north. If I take Anthony Edwards out of this lineup, it will come down 3 points. So maybe something to keep an eye on. Non-zero? Non-zero chance? I don't know. Something's popping here. I don't know what it's going to be. Could be some value on Kyle Filipowski at a 4K power forward center. Collier's certainly interesting at 5,300 if he can get minutes. And if something breaks, like Rob Dillingham sitting there as a weird point per dollar play. Look, Ant is 8,600 against Utah. If he plays, I like him. I don't know if he's going to play, though. We'll find out. Alrighty, guys. Final game of the day. This is not on the slate. Atlanta Hawks. 10:30 start against the Clippers. 4.5-point dogs, 221 total. They played on Saturday. They beat the Lakers by 20. Now, the problem here is that we got a boatload of injuries or potential injuries. Trae Young obviously is out. Q-tag Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Q-tag Jalen Johnson. So, yeah, there's that. Obviously, this could be a weird one. Let's get the Atlanta minutes done. So on days like this, where we have like 9, 10, 11 games, this is going to look one way. And then days like tomorrow, which I think there are 5, the deep dive that we take into these teams will be like much more aggressive. So like days with a lot of games won't be the days that we go crazy here. Days when we don't, those will end up being the days where like we really do a thorough review of the teams that play there. That'll allow us to like focus, and our focus can be dictated based on schedule. All right, Nickeil Alexander-Walker in for 32. Daniels for 35. Reese Shea feels fine at 26. Jalen Johnson at 33. Onyeka Okongwu, 28. Porzingis, 28. Who's next? All right, Keaton Wallace is probably going to get like 16 minutes. Luke Kennard back. He's probably like a 23. Mo Gay, like 14. And then I'll hide 5 on Vit Krejci. Krejci to the fringe. Toppin to the DNP. Asa Newell to the DNP. Atlanta minutes locked. Clippers. Lost to the Suns on Saturday by 11. They've got the Hawks today, 4.5-point favorites. They get the Nugs on Wednesday. So no back-to-backs or anything here. Lots of injuries here. So let's talk through this. Niederhauser not with the team. Telfort not with the team. No Kawhi Leonard. We do have James Harden. So let's go ahead and clear these minutes. We've got a Q tag on Jordan Miller and a Q tag on Bradley Beal for today. So this one could look a little bit different. Obviously, no Kawhi is an important factor for the LA Clippers. So let's do our rotation for the Clippers. Final one. James Harden. 35 minutes feels about right there. Chris Dunn. Probably 30. Bradley Beal. 21. Not that it matters. Dude, I hate Bradley Beal. 27 for Derek Jones Jr. And then we get Zubats in for 32, which feels fine. Let's clear the rest of this rotation. And we get to the next one, John Collins. Let's get him in for 25. Batum for like 16. Brooke Lopez for like 16. Chris Paul. Uh-oh for Chris Paul. Is Chris Paul not going to be a part of this rotation much longer? Because he did not play last time out. Is the Chris Paul experience over in the NBA? I don't know, but he's going to get 8 minutes right here. Bogdan Bogdanovic is probably going to get like 10. Cam Christie is going to get like 12. And then I'll hide the final set on Kobe Brown. Weird team today in LA, because they've got some guys that could take on some real legitimate playing time. Yeah, this is the final game for today. We have been live for an hour and 49 minutes because the NBA Strategy Show is a new vibe now. We're projecting rotations and we're digging in. And then tomorrow, that'll be the real fun one, because we can get started early and have infinite time to break these things down. I think there's 5 games tomorrow, and if I'm right, we are going to be able to really go at it. And one of them is that stupid 11 o'clock game. Yeah, what do we have tomorrow? 6 games. All right, so it's 5 on the main, and then Nuggets Kings as that 11 o'clock start. Night Owl, this sucks because now you aren't showing ownership. You didn't listen to the beginning of the show, did you? So that's what? 2, 4, 6. That's 9 games up and 9 games down. And we've looked through all of this. So, for Night Owl and for anybody that wasn't here out of the gate, yes, this is going to look a little different for what we're doing in the morning. However, there are 2 more pieces of content to come out after this show. The starting 5 will come out once again. Same as it was before, only now it's new to you guys. You can check it out without having to see it on the strategy show. So I will have the starting 5 out sometime in the next 2 hours. Projections and ownership are going to get posted to the site in the next 10 minutes. Moving forward, they're going to go up live while we're doing it. I just didn't do that today. And then, Night Owl, this is what you're looking for. Instead of having a strategy show that is like rushed and non-specific, now that I have gone through this entire slate, projected all of the rotations, once the projections and ownership hit the site, I'm going to record then what is the new strategy show, a non-live show where I break down each game and hit all of the pieces coming out of our stuff. So there you'll see projections, ownership, boom bust data, etc. So it's coming, but it's coming in a better mood, or in a better package. I'm going to have like a roughly, I don't know the time yet because I haven't done it yet, 15-ish minute strategy show that takes a look at every one of these games and all of the data. So you're going to get the best of both worlds now. You're going to get concise slate data presented to you, and you're going to get early morning data infinitely more accurate than it would have been previously, because we're just going to do the work in the morning instead of rushing the work in the morning to get ready for a strategy show. Coming out of this, there should be more content on the DFS side and better content on the DFS side. So I get what you're saying, Night Owl, but you're going to get it in a better mechanism. But that's where we're at. We're at the top of the hour. I have now talked for 113 minutes to start this day. We'll be here again tomorrow, 8 a.m., 6 games. We're going to go deep into all 6 of those. Way deeper than we went today. But then like Wednesday and Friday, we'll probably end up moving a little quicker. It's also possible we start earlier than 8 o'clock on some of these days. It depends what my life is looking like. Tomorrow, I'll see you guys in the morning. Thank you for being here for the new look NBA DFS strategy show / The Process. Keep your eyes peeled on YouTube. Starting 5 strategy VOD coming soon. Good luck, everyone.